All right, we are recording. All right, we are recording. We should be good. All right. Welcome everyone to the first episode, the pilot episode of the Pond Hockey Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jimmy Kelly, and across the table from me, go ahead and introduce yourself.
It is Nicholas Firmbaugh, president of DSTV and a great friend of his.
And I'd just like to thank everyone here at the Duquesne Student Radio for having us. I greatly appreciate it. This has been a project that's been pretty long in the making. I've been wanting to do something like this for a long time. I'm grateful for them to providing us the facility and just letting us be here.
Hey, it's what me and Harley want to do. We want to make the space open for everybody. So I'm really glad you like when you came to me with this idea. I was so excited. I literally started. I started telling all my friends, my family about it. I was so hyped for this.
Yeah, and it's something I'm really, really passionate about. Like anyone who knows me knows I'm a huge hockey guy. I've been a big hockey guy for as long as I can remember. But to start things off tonight, I just wanted to like get an introduction thing going. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your favorite team and why you got into hockey?
All right, so I didn't get into hockey until recently. I never grew up with it during my like childhood or like during high school. That's crazy to me because that's like when Crosby and Ovechkin played, like those two
Yeah.
legends who are still playing at the tail end of their careers, still playing incredible by the way, two just absolute units.
Oh yeah, Sidney
Like
Crosby hitting 1,500 points by the way this past weekend. Just crazy,
Ovi's still on the
crazy.
climb to get the all-time goal record, which he could very well do
I
if he
think he
stays
could.
healthy. It's crazy. So I didn't pick it up until it took, ironically, the world coming to a stop via the pandemic for me to start watching hockey. And I picked it up like when it like during that COVID season, or actually the season before. I picked it up
Yeah,
during
2019.
2019, right before everything stopped. And it was so interesting watching hockey. I was like, because one of my friends wanted me to pick it up with him because he'd just come over, we hang out, because we went to two different high schools. We just come over to my place, play pool, and watch hockey on like our big screen downstairs. And I was like, huh, hockey's actually a lot more fun than I thought. So once that all wrapped up, I watched it for 2 seasons. Started like wanted to get a rough understanding of it right now, and
Mm,
then the Kraken came in, so I was like, okay, I still have
yeah.
like have my team to root for. They're new. I'm also new to hockey. Feel like a match made in heaven. Plus, I'm also a Seahawks fan, so I kind of do love that connection of Seattle.
Yeah, and they got a team, they got a pretty good team actually. We'll get to that later. Pretty
Oh yeah,
surprising for year two, man.
massive
That's
surprise.
they've been really good this year. I'm actually really glad. Grow the market, doing all kinds of things. But as for
Pray you don't fit
me,
in Vegas.
oh yeah, yeah, hopefully, hopefully. But as for me, I am a huge hockey fan. I really follow two teams a lot, the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Those are the two teams I've really grown up watching. Phil Kessel being my favorite player for a really long time. Chris Letang's up there. Really, I really got into it when I was growing up. Like I have a good friend now in my family is Kyle, if he's listening to this. He was the one who got me into it. Really of the big thing about it is just growing up in really the golden age of hockey with Crosby and Ovechkin and now new guys like McDavid and Matthews coming up.
Oh
Like
yeah,
really, really great time to be a hockey fan right now.
I think this is probably the second best time ever to be a hockey fan.
Oh yeah, best time probably being the 90s with Gretzky and
Gretzky,
Lemieux
Lemieux,
playing. Yeah.
all those legends. Like
Yeah.
even Yager was playing around then, like
Yarmir
starting
Yager's
there.
still playing, by the way. He's
That's
still
crazy.
playing. Yeah,
That is insane.
it's like I don't remember for sure, but I think he's retiring after this year finally.
I think so.
I think he's 50 years old now. He's getting up there. He's close. He's like Gordie Howe longevity now.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. But speaking of the Penguins, since we're located out of Pittsburgh, based out of Pittsburgh, really something we want to talk about is whether or not the Penguins would make the playoffs. I mean, for the past like decade and a half, it's been a foregone conclusion that like, hey, this team will make the playoffs. They've made it, I think, 16 straight seasons, which is unheard of in the sport. Like the Red
It's like
Wings
it's
were
been
the
that
last.
long.
It's been 16 straight years. Ever since Crosby's rookie year, they've made the playoffs every single year. And this year it's in jeopardy.
Wow, I did not know it was 16 years to start.
It's been like 16 years if my math is
You're
doing me
probably all
right.
right.
But like the team's been great like my entire life. So that's I've really been spoiled by at least one of those teams that well, I don't know what I would do without at least one of the teams, but it I think it's more of a testament to how great that trio of Crosby, Malkin, and Letang has been. Like they've just been crazy. Crosby's still a point per game player. Malkin's not that far behind. Letang has had injury problems and two strokes, and
This
he's
year has
still
been,
playing.
I felt so bad. This has been such a trying year for him.
Oh my, yeah.
He had a stroke, and then I don't even think a month later his dad died.
Yeah, he's had a
It's such a
really,
trying
really
year for him. I feel so bad.
he's had a really tough go of it this year, man. I mean, I'm really happy for him that he's still out playing at a high level, getting that big contract in the offseason.
It's been
Like
a tough year for the Pens.
it has been. I
Just
think
because they also didn't Jari step away for a little while for mental health reasons.
he did. And he's not the first one. Matt Murray did it a couple years ago as well.
Oh yeah, he did. I
I
forgot.
think part of the Penguins' problem is they had this stretch for like 2 months where their bottom six was just non-existent. You had Jeff Carter throwing up goose eggs. You had Brock McGinn throwing up goose eggs. You had Danton Heinen trying to get some spark into that bottom six, but you just couldn't do it. And at the trade deadline, getting rid of Teddy Bluger was a big hit, but I understand it with a cap. It's just a cap hit issue. They're trying to go another way, probably have some youth coming up, hopefully.
Guess so, but it just confused me, especially with the additions they added, being Mikkel Granlund,
Ugh.
him, Benino, Dmitry Kulikov, and I think that's it. I think it was those three.
Yeah,
It's
and
confusing.
Dmitry Kulikov was definitely a depth signing.
Yeah,
I don't think he's bad,
also
but if you're the Penguins and you need defensive help, I don't think you should go out and trade for a guy who's not a great defenseman on the worst defensive team in the NHL this year. Like I don't get it. The Granlund thing I do because he provides defense a little bit of edge. The Penguins always need a little bit of edge with that division they play in with Trouba, with Tom Wilson, and with the Islanders identity line. Like you need it. But
that's true.
I mean, and right now, as of right now, as we're recording this, the Penguins are competing with the Islanders and the Panthers for one of the wild card spots right now in the East. And that wild card race is crazy right now. But as of this taping right now, good news for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Toronto Maple Leafs are up on the Florida Panthers 1-0 with 15 minutes left in the third. And in a cruel case of irony, the Penguins fans have to be Caps fans tonight.
Oh yeah.
The Caps are beating the Islanders 3-0 with 19 minutes to go in the third. Fingers crossed for our friends who are Pittsburgh Penguins fans, myself included. Really hoping they extend that streak.
Yeah, I'm hoping so for for the best. Like it's just tough watching them, especially defensively. It's been just painful this year.
Defensively, their goaltending has just I don't
Goaltending outside of Jari
Yeah.
has just been a nightmare.
I've had a
Jari's come off a
problem.
little bit.
I've had a problem blaming like just goaltending
No,
because
you can't do it this year.
it's the last one. He's the last guy to make a mistake. Like, granted, he's let in some not good goals. All goalies do that. DeSmith has been
Horrid.
almost
Garbage.
unused. He's been almost unusable. Like Jari's been good when he's been
better.
in, but he hasn't been in enough. That's the problem.
No. And the defensive around him just not helped Jeff Petrie. I thought it was just a minor step back. No.
That is a steep decline.
You're up off a cliff. Jan Ruda.
Jan Ruda's been decent.
No,
He's not gonna wow you with the scoring prowess, but he's a defensive defenseman. Like I see the appeal. He was on the back-to-back 3 straight cup final Tampa Bay Lightning, who we will also get to later. But no, I think the Penguins are trying to salvage the remainder of their core trio, but I don't want to say this is the beginning of the end because you can't count out those 3 guys ever, but
I'm willing to say that because I kind of felt that last year.
Yeah.
I felt it last year with how they were playing. And
Yeah.
as soon as I saw them lose game 7, I'm like, yeah, that was their last shot. Like the way they went at the deadline, the way they like rallied through the season.
Yeah.
And then fell apart in the games that mattered. They were 3-2 up.
Yeah.
In that playoff series against the Rangers.
With a third string goalie, by the way.
Yeah.
If they have Jari in that playoff series, I'm convinced that they win that series in 6 games.
And
I'm
now Louis
convinced.
Domingue
Louis Domingue, grilled pork and broccoli, not the best, just like his goaltending play.
crying in Devils fans.
Oh my goodness. He's playing for the Rangers now, which is crazy. But just the Eastern Conference in general this year. I mean, it's going to be such a bloodbath in that conference, man. Like it wouldn't surprise me if a team in the West who like no one was expecting would swoop in to win because that Eastern Conference is absolutely insane. Like you have the Bruins setting a NHL record in wins.
Wild.
Like you have them setting an NHL record in wins with 63. They're probably gonna get 65 and win out, which is nuts.
Yeah, the last 2 games of the Caps and Canadians, so
Yeah,
probably
they'll probably win out. Um, and like you have the Leafs who have Matthews, Marner, Tavares, even though they can't really get over that hump. You have Tampa making 3 straight finals, the Devils being an up and coming team, the Rangers being good with Shesterkin, the Hurricanes have been good consistently.
And a lot of the Mets are still up in the air, especially for 1, 2, and 3. It's still very much up in the
Oh
air.
yeah,
So
like it wouldn't surprise me if
they're getting embarrassed. Well, actually, no, they got one back. Never mind. I thought it
okay.
was 3-0. It's 2-1.
Okay, it's not as bad now.
The
I
Canes
mean,
are currently losing at the end of the second period against the Sens. So
fingers crossed.
if
Fingers
they lose,
crossed.
the Rangers and the Devils still have a chance at that number 1 spot. So
Yeah.
which means things could get crazy for whoever is fight, because we were talking about the wild card. Whoever is going fighting for the playoffs, they desperately want that first wild card.
Oh yeah, because you don't want to play Boston, even though I think the Penguins and the Panthers can give them a run for their money. I think they can. I don't think they'll necessarily be able to beat them.
Penguins maybe, Panthers no.
I think
No
the Penguins have a chance because of their experience. The Panthers maybe because they have scoring, but they just pick and choose when they want to show up. Like it's crazy. But speaking of the East, going into one team that's just at the center of all of the jokes, all of the derogatory terms. Do you think the Toronto Maple Leafs have a chance to get past the first round this year and beyond?
I want to say yes. I know people are saying, "Oh, the Lightning are just kind of sitting and waiting." Well, waiting kind of seems like an understatement. They've looked really bad the
Yeah.
last like month and a half. To sum it up, especially because they won their first game against the Islanders, then lost 3-6 to the Rangers. They lost 3-6 to the Rangers. They lost 6-1 to the Islanders, who are not really an incredible offensive team. And then they got a 7 bomb on their head by the Sens.
Oh my, I didn't even know they weren't playing that great,
They're
but
playing crap. Like
yeah.
Vasilevsky is gonna have to there's gonna be like most seasons before they could rely on all the offense, all the high end depth to get them through. And I'm not saying they don't have depth, but there's definitely a sharp drop off from like their top tier talent. They're good players that have depth, and then everyone else.
Yeah, and like they overpaid a ton for Tanner Jeannot at the deadline. Like the Lightning
was shocked when I saw that because he was from the Preds, right?
Yeah, he was. And like Tanner Jeannot is a good player, but I don't think he was worth 5 picks in a player. Like
because he's played 20 games with
Tampa.
And he's had 1 goal, 3 assists, a -6.
He only has 4 points.
He only has 4 points at a -6.
Wow.
And that's kind of shocking because he's more of like isn't he way more of a defensive kind of like?
Yeah, he's a guy who'll throw up like 20 goals, pretty good defensively. I'm just like with the 5 picks and everything, like I see what Tampa's trying to do. They're trying to get the magic with Nick Paul and Brandon Hagel that they had last year, but I just don't think that it was a good move to spend that kind of asset for Tanner Jeannot. Like to give you like a comparison, and this is like their direct competition because they were in an arms race with the Leafs because they've known they were their opponent for like the better part, like since December. Yeah, like since December even. Yeah, like probably, yeah. The Leafs got Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari for less pieces than Tampa gave up for Tanner Jeannot.
Yeah, and that kind of surprised me. When I saw it, I just kind of scratched my head. I'm like, why?
I don't get it. I mean, Like Tampa, I think Tampa for me, and with a lot of hockey fans now, they have this feeling like the New England Patriots in football had for a
You can't
long
count them
time.
out.
You can't count them out. You can't. Like they're just a good team. Everyone knows what to expect from them. Even when they're having like a quote unquote slump, they're still a really good team that's capable of going the distance.
And it's not like other teams where it's like, oh, they have high end talent and nothing else. It's not like they have nothing. It's just more along the lines of it's a lot weaker than things in the usual, like especially like guys like Hedman. Hedman's kind of like stepped back a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Like he stepped back. Nick Paul's not produced. He's been all right, but you kind of wanted a little more, especially because they gave him a lot for him.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Watch
credit
Nick
to
Paul
Brandon Hagel,
score.
he's great. Brandon Hagel is great.
Yeah, he still is
Like
good.
Lauren's still playing good. Like those are guys who are helping.
Yeah.
But it's like it feels like, especially in the case of like after guys like Kucherov, Point, it's Stamkos, and especially because Stamkos is in his 30s.
Yeah.
Kucherov's going to be 30. The shelf life on their team, I'd say, is another 2 years. I'd say.
Yeah, they got two or
But
three more years, I'd say.
it just feels. It doesn't feel like things lining up right now because it
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a usual something. They just look bad and off. So I'm gonna sit on the side of yes.
Yeah. I, uh,
If
it,
your goalies stay consistent and
yeah, that's the big thing.
don't play Justin Hall in crucial moments.
Oh, it's Sheldon Keefe. He's going to play Justin Hall no matter what. Literally, Justin Hall could have two broken legs, and he walks over to Justin Hall. He goes, "Hey, buddy, can you go tonight?" Like it. I don't despise the idea of having Justin Hall on the team. Like he's serviceable defensively most of the time, but I don't think he should be getting top pair minutes, and that's where my problem is. But if the Leafs are going to make a run this year, you need clearly the big three in Matthews, Marner, and Tavares to show up. And they did last year. You also need Ilya Samsonov to be as good as he's been all season. And I think he has the capacity to do that.
You should be able to. I think you should be able to.
Yeah. But in terms of the Leafs making a run, that's a tough gauntlet to possibly have to run. You have Tampa, who's made three straight finals, who are an established team. They beat you last year. You have the Boston Bruins, who you have your own demons with, and they have 63 wins this year.
Yeah.
Like it's just insane. And then you have someone
guard in game 7 just running through these fans' heads over and over. Like
mine. Literally mine. Anyway, but like seriously, you have these two teams, and then if you somehow beat both of them, you have the juggernauts in the Metro to worry about. Either you have your goalie, you're gonna have to play against Igor Shesterkin, who's one of the best goalies in the league, the Devils, who have a ton of scoring and they're really fast, or the Canes.
Well.
Yeah. And if none of them make it, you have the Penguins, who are the Penguins, or Florida. Like Florida doesn't really worry me, but like every single team in the Eastern Conference worries me other than Florida. Even the Islanders worry me. Yeah.
Like even in years where they've not been like great, they made two really deep runs, both stuffed by the Lightning.
Yeah. And like they were arguably
took them both like to the end.
Yeah. They were arguably the second best team in hockey for 2 years because like no one took the Lightning that far other than the Islanders for those 2 years.
I remember the 2 years the Lightning won. That was Stars Canadian.
Stars and Habs. We don't talk about 2021 ever. It's like me with the Penguins in 2018. We don't talk about either of those 2 years, 2021 or 2018. No, we're not talking about that.
No, I don't blame you.
Those are the two things.
It's gonna be the East is gonna be so much fun to watch. Like, I think the East will be so much more fun to watch than the West.
I don't know about that though, because Connor McDavid is still in the West. You have a ton of good teams,
but it's like I think the talent gap is like it's a steep 2-1 ratio in each. I will happily say that.
Yeah.
As happy as I am as the Kraken are in the playoffs, the talent ratio in the playoffs for East to West is 2-1, and I'll happily admit that.
Yeah, but like I said, if you're running that gauntlet in the East, especially if it's a team like Toronto coming out, they played like two of the best teams in hockey, one for the past 3 years and another one this year. If they make it to that cup final, they're going to be bruised and battered and they're going to be tired. So if there's a team like Edmonton that comes through or Colorado that comes through with that speed and that skill, it wouldn't shock me. It wouldn't. Do I think it's going to happen? don't really think so. I think the teams in the West will have a little while before they hit that plateau, other than the Avs, because the Avs they're the cup champs. They deserve their admiration. But I just don't know with the West, man. Like, I think this is a year where anyone could win it, and I think that's the beauty of the playoffs because
I,
any team can win.
I've always said this. NHL playoffs are probably my favorite. I think if in order for playoffs being my favorite, I'd go hockey, baseball, football, basketball.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that because football as of late has been the top two teams in the conference have been really good, and there's a steep drop off. Like you
Last
kind of
season
know
was
who's good.
an
Yeah.
example of that versus
Yeah.
like we really talked. We watched a 16 team playoff 2 years ago, and I know it's bringing up all that like bad ones. 16. I think they were ranked 18th out of
They
30
were.
teams, and they somehow pulled their way into the finals, beating the Leafs, sweeping the Jets. That no one talked about that enough. They swept the Jets,
They did sweep the
like
Jets. And the
humiliated
Jets
them.
swept the Oilers.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my, yeah. That was a weird playoff year.
Oilers fans, you're welcome for the Leafs' embarrassment that year
It
because
was
you didn't hear about it
that
at
was a
all.
wild.
Yeah.
That was a wild playoff
It
year.
was
And
crazy,
then they
man.
went humiliated Vegas, which put a smile on my face.
That was funny. That was funny.
That put a smile on my face.
Except I'm a
Good
big
old
Flurry guy.
Markovsky, this fallen the sword.
Uh, man.
But I bring that up because it's like in hockey, it's like it never matters. Like literally last year, the Stars with a team that was nowhere near ready for playoff contention. This year, they're ready for playoff
Oh
contention.
yeah, Jason Robertson.
Last year,
Woo.
they were nowhere near ready. They're
Yeah.
having down years with hints and stuff like that. Robertson came up and he was great, but still could have gotten better. And as a whole, the Stars just weren't ready, and Jake Ottinger almost completely single-handedly willed them into the second round.
Oh yeah, like that was just a crazy that was probably the best goaltending play I've ever seen.
Jake Ottinger, Joe Pavelski, Jason Robertson, and no one else. Literally no one else.
Literally.
But it's crazy because just that alone was almost enough to get him out of the first round.
And that was against a good Calgary team too. That's something that a lot of people forget about. That Calgary team was really, really good because that was with Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau having career years. You had Lindholm putting up 40. Like that entire line had 40 goals, man. He almost stole that series. It just goes to show you that like it doesn't matter if you're a juggernaut or if you're barely squeaking in. If you make it in, you have a chance.
Oh yeah. And I think that's so much better than like NBA playoffs and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
Where it's like it's the top three teams matter, and then everyone else is like
Yep.
maybe once every 5 years they'll do something. That's about it. Where hockey, you can almost like every single season you see crazy upsets, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, like I'm really hoping because like I'm gonna like, go to the Bruins. They seem like they're unbeatable this year, and with that unpredictability factor, it's like we talked about earlier. It surprise me if an eighth seed knocked them out. It wouldn't shock me because
It
I've
would
been
be
watching hockey for a long time, but it'd be absolutely crazy.
President's Trophy, get you're the best team ever, but that's also crazy high
Oh
expectations.
yeah, like they've been playing. There's almost some good in losing a couple of games because you're not playing at 100% for all 82 games.
And that's why, because we're going all the way roundabout, we fall back on your team.
Yep.
Well, you guys have been good. You haven't been amazing down the stretch of April. But I also think it's a matter of you're getting everybody, we're trying to get everybody back
Yeah.
and get that chemistry in, especially with guys like O'Reilly and others who have missed time. They've missed some
Yeah.
time. And there's some, especially because I looked at the roster. One, didn't know Sam Lafferty was out.
Oh yeah, he got
Oh,
yeah, Yarncrook I think he took a puck to the face and Lafferty is just maintenance like because
okay.
they're the teams that load up. Like I don't mind if you're a team that's loading up like your Torontos, like your Bostons of the world where it's like if you know who you're playing against and you know where your seating's going to be, just rest some guys. There's 3 games left. It's not like you're Pittsburgh, New York, or Florida fighting for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Rest your guys. You should.
100%. I think they definitely will. And I'm curious to see, and I wanted your opinion on this. Because I know last few years, some big issues have been your power play in the playoffs,
Oh yeah, yeah. Leafs have struggled with that. And
especially on the defensive side. I'm curious who they run out as like their two main defensemen.
so
Or
I
would they
don't
run
run two defensemen.
really run one?
What I do is I don't put Morgan Riley back there anymore. I think I know what their plan is.
The
They got
Gustafson.
Gustafson for a reason, and I think they're gonna have him as the power play quarterback.
Watching the Caps play indirectly this year, it was an awful year watching Caps hockey. I wanted to die
Oh,
internally and externally. I wanted to just die all around. But
yeah.
watching Gustafson play, I will say this: I was sitting there just shocked, like, "Excuse me."
He came out of nowhere
He
because
really did, because I don't. He's
he
had a
had
year,
some
like,
down
over
years
a
in
year like this.
Philly. He had some down years in Philly and
He was
Montreal.
terrible in Montreal.
And then just all of a sudden he explodes and like, hey, like that's a good find for them. I
I was
mean,
watching him play. I was like, I was looking at him play. And I was looking at our record. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna leave, aren't you? Goodbye.
yeah, like, and that's the thing with the Caps, and like we can jump to the Caps now. That's the thing I don't understand with them right now.
I
So
don't hate how they went
you're
about the deadline.
I don't really either, except for one move.
Which one?
There's one move that I don't love.
Which one?
I don't love them. See, I think trading Hathaway and Orlov was a good thing if they didn't trade their first round pick for Rasmus Sandin. Because
Dude,
the
I forgot
first
they
round
did.
pick they got from Boston, if you're trying to rebuild
It's gonna be a
here
late one.
in the deepest draft, like in the last couple of years,
They gave up a first when they traded
yeah,
Gustafson for Sandy. Well, I will give this. Standing has been really, I think he's been really good since he's been over to the Caps. He's not blown anything's ass off, but I think he's actually played solid for the Caps.
he has. And like,
But
absolutely, he has.
it's tough because after him and Carlson, the defense has been.
Carlson being out for a long period of time, I think, is what hurt him. It's just the Caps and the Penguins. It's honestly kind of sad to see, even though I'm a Pens guy. It's kind of sad to see both those teams kind of drop off because I grew up on that rivalry, man. Like seeing Crosby versus Ovechkin in the playoffs. It
It was painful to
just
watch.
oh
You
nine,
guys just like they had so many down years. Oshie was bad and missed time.
yeah.
Mantha was horrible. Mantha
That's
was
one
so
trade,
bad.
man. Because even
That
though
trade's gonna
Vron,
haunt the Caps for a long
yeah,
time.
because even though Vrana's been out for a long time this year, and he's bounced around teams this
He's on the
year,
Blues now, but he's doing well for the Blues.
I still think that's not a great move for the Caps, man, because Mantha had a strong post deadline, and then this year he's just been so.
He's been horrible.
Yeah.
It's been painful to watch. They just have, like, especially on the left side, they have nothing outside of Connor Sherry. They have nothing.
And Connor Sherry's
okay.
not that
He's
great of an option either.
Like literally outside of Ovi and Strome, Dylan Strome, it's been rough watching them.
Oh,
play
I know.
sometimes.
I know. And Ovi, I'm hoping he breaks that record, but if
think
you're
it's super
Ovi,
good.
this is the same conversation we were having when he was about to hit free agency last year. If you're not contending for a cup and you're Ovi,
What do you do?
do you try to get a trade to win another ring? I mean, it depends. He already has his ring. So I think that chance is slim to none. I think that conversation will be had down the road. If he breaks the goal record and the Caps still aren't competitive, I think he plays for another team.
I think so as well. That's the worst bit. He's 37 right now. He's also put up 42 goals.
Wow.
Yeah, that's insane. But I give him 2 years. If they can't turn it around in 2 years,
His last year, just go for a cup.
I think he plays like 42, 43. Ironic. I think he stays for a while.
Yeah, I think he does
Yeah,
too.
if you're putting up 42 goals at at age 37, that's like I don't know if you watch baseball. That's like watching Nelson Cruz play for the Padres. He's still hitting dingers. He put up 6 RBIs like a night or two
Wow.
ago at 42 or 43. I think he's about to be 43.
Wow.
Like that's what I compare this to, because it's like he doesn't age, and it's like he could play for 5, 6 more years. It's a matter of will he. It's a matter of will he. Would he want to sit through a rebuild? Does he want to go somewhere else? I hope not, but
Yeah, I
I
mean, it would be really weird. It's like
it's like seeing Claude Giroux.
yeah, and this is gonna break my mom's heart with the Drew thing, but it was so weird to see him traded last year to the Panthers and the Flyers get back Owen Tippett and a second round pick for Claude Giroux.
Everything's always sunny in Philly.
Uh, I mean, they made a bunch of championships this year, but
It's so
wow. But like we can jump to Philly now. I mean,
Flyers.
the Flyers are yikes, except here's the good thing to make them feel better, like about an old player. This is another guy I grew up with, and I'm sure a lot of listeners like watched him for for his whole career. Claude Giroux hitting a
Oh
thousand
yeah,
points, just a super underrated guy. Guy deserves it. Like
crazy game.
he's such an underrated guy, and just hitting the 1,000 point mark shows how
Tonight's been a
good
crazy
he
night.
is. Yeah, it has
Yeah,
been.
for reference, people tonight, two players hit the
Yeah,
century or the millennium mark tonight.
yeah.
Claude Giroux and Joe Pavelski of the Dallas
Joe
Stars. So
Pavelski.
you've got a crazy amount of good talent in the NHL right now. That's what's crazy about it. Like tonight, we just
Yeah.
had two players hit 1,000 points.
The amount of people who I grew up watching hitting 1,000 points is insane. And like, I'm sure a lot of the people who we're watching now, who the kids are watching now, your Matthews, your McDavids, your Dreisaitl's, your Pasternaks, they're going to hit 1,000 in a couple of years. McDavid, especially.
There's two teams we haven't highlighted enough, I think, tonight.
Yeah.
Because they have crazy talent that's also like they can hit like 100 points like each night, each year for the next
Yeah.
10 years, and that's the Sens and the
Sens.
Sabres.
Yeah, I think okay. Yeah, so the Sabres, I'm actually kind of bummed about them. And this is going to be weird coming from Penguins and Leafs guy. It's going to be weird, but I'm kind of disappointed that they didn't make the playoffs this year. Like they still have a chance. Don't get me wrong, they still have a chance, but it's just so much of a long shot, man.
They need a goalie.
They need a goalie. That's exactly what I was going to say. Because UPL, I think, just needs more time.
Yeah.
And just Craig Anderson. You can't trot out a 40-year-old goalie and expect like
and the answer
good
is not
results.
Devin Levi at 21.
Yeah, like
not Devin Levi.
They have the pieces to be like a great team. Like Tage Thompson has been a monster this year.
And then I think they completely humiliated. I know Eichel's been good, and maybe this is biased because I don't like Vegas, but I think they got so much more value in the Eichel trade. I sat there and scratched my head when they were like they traded Alex Tuch.
Yeah, I mean, they were so desperate for just like that big name guy again, by the way. Pacioretty, Mark Stone, who else? Alex Pietrangelo, Marc-Andre Fleury, when he was still there. Like, oh man, with that Sabres trade, like at the time, people were like celebrating, like, oh, Jack Eichel's gonna be great. He's gonna like win this trade by a mile. I can honestly sit here today. Sabres won that trade, and they're gonna win it for the foreseeable future.
It is crazy because I don't think anybody would have expected it. And credit to I forget the GM for the Sabres.
I know they got a new one.
So it's Kevin Adams, but it's not.
It used to be Kevin Adams. Oh, well, this is an easy.
This is an easy. Was that I watched it with the Bills. I think the best thing,
Kevin Adams. You're right.
Is it Kevin Adams?
Yeah,
I had a feeling. But I said the best thing that happens in hockey is when, for the most part, and I think you usually don't see this issue in hockey. You see it way more in football, is having an owner that keeps their hands too much on the team.
Oh,
they were held back for so long by Terry Pegula and his family. And the first time they said, all right, we're going to take a step back. We're letting Kevin Adams do his job. You know, they find good pieces all out of nowhere. Middlestat has finally stepped up.
Finally.
Getting rid of Rasmus Ristolainen was the biggest W the franchise could have ever done.
Oh, I know.
And I forget I think they got Peyton Krebs from that, didn't they? Or no?
No, they got that from the Eichel deal.
I forget who they got for trading Risto.
Was Risto a trade or
was it a trade?
I think it was a first round pick. I think it was just first round pick.
It was a first round pick.
I think it was a first round pick.
I'm gonna fact check this right now.
I want to say it was for a first round pick in Philly. Why did you All right, I'm going to talk about Philly for a second
Yeah, do
here
that. Well, I'll wait for
because
Philly.
this is just I have a lot of problems with the Flyers and how they're going about things. Was it a first round pick?
So it was a 2021 first, a 2023 second. So they actually said still get something this year on the rest of trade. And they did get a player for it. I don't know if he's on their roster,
What's his name?
Robert Hagg,
Yes, Robert Haig is on the roster.
but he might be in the bottom pairing with them, like more towards the
Yeah,
bottom pairing. But they got a player, and at least right now, it's giving them value.
yeah, Robert Haig is on the roster.
Huh.
Okay, but with how I'm gonna go about with the Flyers here, I think the Flyers have a long way to go during their rebuild, and I don't necessarily think it was all Chuck Fletcher. I think a lot of it had to do with him. Like, of course it did because he's a GM, and I think a lot of it has to do with their ownership
Ownership.
because ever since Comcast has had majority ownership of the team, they have just been they haven't had a direction. I don't get it. You're getting these old grizzled veterans who aren't even really grizzled veterans, like because that Risto move was awful.
That's going to define. Well, unfortunately, that's going to define Chuck Fletcher for probably ever.
And I think it should.
Yeah, no, that trade has been terrible. And for reference, Ristolainen, power play guy that everybody wants to admit, a first round pick, 3 goals in
Oh
72
my
games.
goodness.
3 goals in 72 games, 19 points in 72 games. That is next level horrendous.
Yeah. And it's like it's not all doom and gloom for the Flyers because they have good players. Like, of course they do. Like Sean Couturier is a good player. Kevin Hayes is a good player. Carter Hart has massive potential. He still does. It's just the defense in front of him has been terrible. Like he kind of gets an unfair reputation in Philly with his play because it no one could really be a great goalie except maybe two in front of that defensive core. So he kind of gets a bad rep. Like,
It's just rough because the biggest guys that have been like their quote unquote big players that like help this team have also had a lot of injuries.
yeah,
Sean Couturier has been injured. Travis Konechny's had injuries. Kevin Hayes has had issues. Farabee like usually misses time. He has this year. He's
yeah.
also kind of been just not playing great. And it's just been a consistent just issue. And has it Provorov also continued just make
No comment.
like he was a big guy that they were supposed to
Yeah, no
watch,
comment.
watch. I hate saying this to be harsh, but I feel like he's gonna end up like Shane Ghost to spare.
Yeah, and you know what? I wouldn't be super heartbroken about that, but
I forgot where did he get traded after the
Gossespierre went to the Coyotes and then went to Carolina, I want to say. Yeah,
kind of for like a third of not this year, not next year, but it was
yeah.
like a 2026 third. I sat there and just screamed inside the mic when we get him, but
Yeah, I mean, if I were the Kraken, I would have gone after a goaltender if I were you, but
the issue was the market just wasn't there. It was
it
Corpus
wasn't.
Fallow.
Who wasn't good
He was really not that great.
until he got traded to the Kings
Melka,
all
who
of a
would have
sudden.
wanted a king's ransom.
Oh yeah.
Aros, who would have wanted a king's ransom. I don't think the Preds are well, they were
Except
selling, but
Saros
they
is
weren't
so good. Saros is so good where I might not have cared how much it took to get him. Saros has been that good this year. He's going to be a Vesna finalist.
It's just one of those things. It's king's ransom, and I just don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if they wanted to part with him.
Yeah.
Especially since they're still right on the edge of a playoff spot as of right now. Does that mean anything? I'm not convinced the Knights are as good as people make them out, and the
Nah.
Oilers could still get the first spot, which hoping for that because
You want the Oilers to get the first
I
spot?
want the Kings to knock off the Golden Knights so bad.
I mean, yeah,
Kings to knock them off so bad. It'd be so funny. I'd probably roll over on the floor laughing if Vegas lost in the first round.
if Vegas lost in the first round again, like that'd be so funny.
Crying.
So
Waiting for Jonathan Quick, yes.
as of right now, as we stand right now, the West would look like the Avs and the Kraken, the Knights and the Jets, Oilers and Kings, and Stars and Wild.
The worst part is think getting the higher spot is the worst case scenario.
Yeah, because you're playing the cup champ, man.
Play the
You're
Avs.
playing the cup champ,
I'd
man.
rather play the Stars or the Wild. Like the Avs getting the top spot was literally worst case scenario.
Oh, I
Of
know.
course, they had to get hot right at the end of the season. I know they played a lot of bad teams, but they also put 5 on the Stars' head, so that's not making me feel good. Here's hoping the Oilers find a way to win.
At least in the regular season, at least.
Like
Not,
right now, because they're playing.
yeah, like right now, not like.
Also, for an update, it's 1-1.
I know it's the 1-1 game for our Penguins fans listening.
And
The Leafs and the
4-2.
Panthers are in overtime 1-1 with a minute to go in that one, and it's looking like the Caps are going to beat the Islanders 4-2. There's a minute 30 to go in the third, so the Penguins are getting some much needed help tonight, which, depending on who you are, if you want the Pens to make it or if you want them to miss it, could be good or bad. I personally think it's great news. I want to go to playoff games.
I might look at going to the game on Tuesday. Oh wait, I got my radio show at 8. Oh, conflict of interest. Anyway,
plug the radio show. No, okay, but yeah, we can do that. But just with the Pens, man, like, I'm really happy that they're getting the help. We're gonna see how it goes. But like with the Kraken, just in general this year, man, you guys got depth scoring for days. A lot of teams would kill for that.
It's crazy as well because watch how the goalies have played. Oh my God.
Tell Martin Jones stats.
How about I read the stats of all 3 goalies? So Joey Decord is our highest in save percentage. He's played 3 games, and his save percentage is a 903. If that's not a reference to how awful a goalie situation is, I don't know what is. He's our best goalie in save percentage. He's at a 903. He's played 3 games. All right, then there's Grubauer. He's played 37 games. He is 16, 13, and 4. How he's a winning record? I have no idea. His save percentage is 893 with a goal against average of 2.93. And there's Martin Jones.
And his record is crazy good for those stats, man.
His record is 27, 13, and 3, 48 games.
Unbelievable.
13, and 3. He has 3 shutouts. So keep that in mind. He has 3 shutouts. His save percentage is an 886.
I don't know how.
He's 886. He's allowing basically 3 goals a game.
Double good news for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Ridiculous.
The Capitals have beat the Islanders 5-2 in regulation.
Dylan Strom getting the empty net
and
goal.
Other good news: the Toronto Maple Leafs have defeated the Florida Panthers 2-1 in overtime. Not ideal, but it was much needed help that the Panthers didn't get those 2 points. The Penguins now control their own destiny to make the 2023 Stanley Cup playoffs.
John Tavares locks it off for them. Against the Panthers.
So the Islanders lose and Tavares gets the walk-off. How does that one feel?
Yep.
Not great.
I was praying for Winnipeg Dolls to lose. They put a 6 bomb on the Sharks.
But
for nothing, James Reimer.
Oh my.
Take your 12, 20, and 8 record away.
Once again. No comments. Many comments wanted. No comments will be had. For those of you that know me, you know my gripes with them. That could be a later topic if that subject comes up.
I guess let me just do a quick recap. Everything going on with the NHL today. Caps just won. The Sens are in the third period, deep into the third period, and are beating the Canes still 3-2. The Rangers and Sabres are tied. Rangers are holding on desperately, trying to get that last spot. Wild are starting off the night up 1-0, but they're playing the Blackhawks, so they ain't saying much.
Yeah, I mean, here's
delete your franchise.
Here's the thing with the Penguins, though. I'm not going to talk a ton of trash on the Blackhawks or the Blue Jackets, by the way, because those are the 2 teams they have to beat to make the playoffs now. Because it doesn't matter.
Going to talk trash. Blackhawks, delete your franchise.
I mean, yeah, because of the whole like, yeah,
Everything,
just
including
everything
your
about you.
franchise. The worst part is, the worst part about it is they're tied with the worst record in the league.
I know.
It's
And
tied with the lowest amount of points.
The Ducks got a point last night. What are you doing? What are you doing?
It's lost an OT to the house.
Well,
They
I
were
will
winning that game
never
deep as well. That
understand.
was funny. I think they were winning deep into that game as
They
well.
were, they
It's
were,
just
and they gave up
hilarious.
a 5-on-3, and the Avs score. I think they scored two off of it to tie it because I think they
I'm
were winning four
so
two.
angry
Yep.
if Connor Bedard goes to the Blackhawks. I will be so unbelievably angry if he ends up
Yeah,
there.
and we can talk about that too. Like, where do you want Connor Bedard to
Blue Jackets.
go? You want him to go to the
Blue Jackets.
See the Blue
Instantly.
Jackets.
Instantly, I will say that Blue Jackets.
I can see the Blue
Because
Jackets.
they're bad this year. Don't get it twisted. They're pretty
Yeah,
bad.
they are. Yeah.
But the thing about the Blue Jackets that makes me a little optimistic, they have talent. That can't be denied.
Oh yeah, they do.
And I think guys like Boone Jenner and Jack Roslovic will have a much better year when better players are there.
Yeah.
I think they also have a ton of cap space.
Johnny Gaudreau's there.
And getting a full season of guys like Gustav Nyquist and Adam Boqvist will be huge for them.
They got
I
the
think it's just a
talent.
year a lot of things went wrong. Considering I think the main defensemen they were running out there on nights were it's either Eric Branson and Gavin Bayreuther or Gavin Bayreuther and Andrew Peak.
Oh,
they've had a lot.
my.
They've had a lot of
Yeah, that's an AHL level. That's an AHL level defense core. Oh my gosh.
You're the Blue Jackets. If by the end of the season your strength and conditioning coach needs to take the nearest trip down the river far away from the Blue Jackets, because this has been 3 straight seasons they have gotten battered.
Oh, I know.
To the ground and back. Like it's almost Ravens level, like what's the guy's name? Steve Sanders and Saunders.
Yeah, Saunders.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. It's like that level. It's like that bad with how many days injured the Blue Jackets have been. That's also contributed to them struggling mightily. So they saw the writing was on the wall. They made smart decisions. I think trading away Korpisalo was smart, and then they got value for trading Jonathan Quick.
They did.
No,
they still have value. If you're a team that's rebuilding, get the value. You know, like you never like the under
high cap space as well.
Yeah, they do.
Year. So they can, along with signing, obviously Gaudreau. No one was expecting this year to be the year they were going to.
No, I
didn't think they were going to be this bad.
Yeah,
but I think that's a lot of just bad luck.
Except if you're going to pick a year to be bad this year.
Yeah.
Go dumpster dive in for that first overall pick, man.
The Flyers,
and
Caps, and Canadians, but no.
You know, if you sneak into like that 2nd to 4th overall, if you can snag Matvey Michkov out of that, because that's a guy who he doesn't get talked about enough. I think it's just because of the Russian factor, but like the guy, people are comparing him to Ovi.
Really?
Like, yeah, he's breaking Ovi records in Russia right now. So, the problem with him is he's not going to be able to play in the show for like 3 years because he has a contract in the KHL right now. But I don't know if I'm sitting at like 15th overall. He's Bedard's age. I think he's 18. Yeah. But if I'm sitting at like 15th, 16th overall, and like I'm a middling team, like if I'm the Penguins and Michkov isn't off the board in the first round, I take him.
100%.
I take him. If no one takes him in the first round, like you're gonna get scrutiny because people are gonna go, he's not gonna play for like 2 to 3 years. What are you doing? What I will say to that, Evgeny Malkin didn't play for the first 2 years he was drafted. He was stuck in Russia. It's a very similar situation. I take the kid. I do.
It also happened with Crosby and Ovi and other guys. Like who? There was a Ducks player. Was it Ducks? No, or was it? I feel like I'm thinking the right guy, wrong guy. Ryan Kessler.
Oh, what, for not playing in their first year?
Yeah, he didn't play.
It's because there was a lockout.
There was a lockout, but he also just didn't play for a season or two.
And in the minors, yeah, he was in the minors.
A lot of guys got stuck in the minors from that year, and that year was a really good year.
But like, is it any different than drafting a guy and making him play in the OHL or in the minors?
I mean, in my opinion, not really.
No.
I mean, I guess there's the only thing I could say with that though is like especially in the case of I think about the Leafs because they called up Nick Robertson at like not even 20.
Yeah.
So like there's that kind of like benefit to
Yeah.
having situations like that. But it's also a case of like you're willing to take a risk. I think patience will persevere
Oh,
in the
yeah.
long run.
Yeah.
Like, I would hope the Caps would find a way to get him.
I mean, like, speaking of patience, we talked about him earlier. Look at Tage Thompson.
Yeah. Tage Thompson's the definition of the middle stat as well.
Yeah, like the guy was like, I'll admit it. Like, I'm a big Tage Thompson fan now, but like, I'll admit it, the guy was just not good his first couple of years, and then just saw a switch clicked in his development, and look at him now. He's scoring like 30, 40 goals a year. Like, the guy's insane.
You got a question. I know it seems like the answer is no, because both sides, I think, are happy with that trade.
Yeah.
Now, I think. We'll see how it goes a few years down the line.
Yeah.
But both sides right now are happy from the trade. I'm curious in a way if I'm like brain farting right now.
Oh, what,
Like,
the O'Reilly and Tage Thompson trade where Thompson went to Buffalo and O'Reilly went to St. Louis?
yeah. Well, I was thinking that, and then I was also thinking the Eichel one as well. I'm
Yeah.
thinking between both of them. Like all sides, I think got something. Like
Yeah.
they're all happy now.
I think they're all happy in the moment.
Blues fans are crying internally.
Well, I don't think the Blues are, because the Blues got a cup out of this, man. The Blues got a cup in 2019.
Yeah,
So
they also
like,
just say goodbye to a lot of big players.
yeah, and
Well,
you know,
to Vladimir Tarasenko.
Yeah,
others.
but that
It's just a tough
happens.
year.
But that happens after you win
Oh,
a
yeah.
cup. Like, it's really tough to keep the guys around. Like, not every team can be the Penguins of 2016 and 2017 or the Lightning now. Like, you shed guys, it happens. I mean,
Hey, I'm just hoping we just have a solid group of guys for the
Yeah.
Kraken going forward.
I think you will.
It's crazy to me because I looked at the stats and I'm gonna do the math very quickly. You have 13 guys with over 30 points.
Wow. 13 guys?
And there's still two other guys who are 3 points away from 30, and Ryan Donato and Morgan Geeky.
Wow.
Also both have been healthy scratches at points of the season. Like, it's crazy.
I still think the MVP of your team is Vince Dunn. The guy has
Oh
been,
my goodness,
or
Vince
Jared
Dunn.
McCann. Vince Dunn or Jared
get
McCann.
the MVP for having to play with Adam Larson 3 months. Oh my god.
Adam
Thank
Larson
God.
slander.
He has started playing good. It's only taken 60 plus games for him to figure it out. But like, he's finally playing good. I'll give him that. He's been playing great through April. I'll give him all the credit in the world.
Yeah.
He's been playing amazing through April. Like, Vince Dunn should get an MVP for having to deal with this crap through the entire season, because he's put up 64 points. He's had 50 assists. He's had 50 assists in one season. I don't even think he had 30. He might have had 30 plus in his first season with the Kraken. No, he didn't even have that. He had 28. I don't think he's had a single season before this year hitting 30 assists. He has 50 this year.
Wow.
He's playing insane.
Oh, man.
No, he's not even close. I'm looking at years prior. Most he had was last year with 28. And he has 50 assists this season.
That's crazy.
And he's only going to keep getting better. He's only 26. He's amazing. And
Blues, man.
Smile.
Blues, man. That I think that one hurts more than getting rid of Tarasenko.
When they lost him to the draft. That one definitely was like, like, I guess there's a few teams to thank.
You guys have a couple of teams to thank, man. Like, you got Lightning. Yep.
But that was whatever for them, I think.
Yeah.
McCann, which I forget. Was that you guys? I feel like it was.
It was both my teams, man.
Was it?
Yeah, the Penguins traded him to the Leafs, and then the Leafs lost him in the expansion draft.
Oh, that's interesting. And I'm like, oh, you're giving him to us.
That's why I gave you that look. That's why I gave you that look. So it was both my teams.
Oh, you know what it was? You know what I'm thinking about? Because you know what's wild about that? Because you know who it was they were protecting, I think?
It was Alex Kerfoot. How many goals does Kerfoot have, by the way? This is gonna make me even more angry. Hang on.
10. I want to say 10.
You're gonna make me even more angry about this, aren't you?
10. It's 10 on the dot.
He has 10 goals.
He has 32 points through 79 games.
He has 32 points. All right. How many points? How many goals does Jared McCann have?
39. I think. Let me double check that.
Dude,
Yeah, 39. Yeah, 39.
He has more goals than Kerfoot has points. People ask me, like, dude, man. This is why I say if I didn't have the Penguins, I would go insane. I would literally go insane.
You turn into Steve Dangle.
I think I'm already there. It's the problem.
No. You're not there. Did you watch
I'm close.
Did you watch the video last year? You're not there. You're not there yet.
I'm close.
You're close.
I'm close. It is. I am.
Right, this year is not a 1-0 loss in Game 7. I will actually call you and give you a hug.
Dude, here's the thing.
I will drive because we are not crazy far from each other. If you go back to your dad's with your mom's, like
I have been saying this all season now. And like I know, like there's a reality, there's the bad ending where the Penguins make it and are one and done. At least make it and they're one and done. And if that happens again this year, if it happens again, here's the thing. I know you guys are like, you guys mean well with the texts, with the emails, with the ats on Instagram, except there are a couple of you that aren't. But dude, like if they do it again, if they do it to me again, I swear,
it's like the origin of Joker right here.
It's the Joker origin story.
Just Jimmy face in a mirror and with the Leafs just tattooed on your forehead.
I know there are going to be people listening to this show. It doesn't matter if the Penguins get knocked or the Leafs get knocked or both. I'm going to hear about it no matter what. No matter what, I'm going to hear about it.
I'm still trying to figure out the video part of it. I think we should make a bet.
What am I betting?
If the Leafs lose in the first round, the show we do after that, you have to come to the show with the Leafs logo just taped across your forehead. Not a tiny thing, like a whole piece of paper just taped on your forehead for the first half of the show.
I'll do you one better. And like Leafs, I swear.
Just for comedy relief for everybody.
No, I'm gonna lean in here. I'm gonna lean in.
You just do it ASMR like.
No, I'm gonna lean in. I'm gonna do you one better that I know they're gonna do. If they lose in the first round, I will wear a Boston Bruins jersey to the podcast.
No shot. No,
I will do it. I'll do it.
Who do you have?
I played for a club team that has the Boston Bruins logo on it, and I'll wear it.
It's just yours. Okay.
It's just mine.
I thought someone just gave you a Marchand jersey just casually.
So here's the thing: if they do it again, and there's a steep chance they do,
it's like 50-50,
and they make me wear a Bruins jersey, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it.
That would be so funny.
So if they lose in Game 7 again, if they do it again, because like the Penguins, like I'm not worried about. I got cups out of them. Like, hey, that's fine. Like the Penguins got cups. Like I live in Pittsburgh. I'm not gonna hear about it like too much. It's okay. But if they do it again, so help me God, I might not recover. I might not. I don't think I'm going to.
No, you'll be fine, man.
I don't know for sure. Well, I lived through 2021 and 2020 where the Penguins got knocked out by the Habs too, by the way. That's another thing we don't talk about a lot.
2019 by the Blue Jackets. Or no.
It was so
the Blue Jackets, and then the 2 years.
The Pens, so 2020 the Habs haunt my dreams, by the way. Because without fail, 2020 they beat the Pens when they were good enough to make a run.
That's stupid.
In the play-in.
It wasn't like the play-in where 12 teams made it.
The Penguins were poised to make a run, and they blew it in 5 games to the Habs. Not even 5, it was 4, I think. It was 4 games.
For newer fans, back in it was
2020. It was 2020 when the bubble was going on.
So there was a bubble, and they had play-ins, and so the top 4 teams went in and played a round robin. 5 through 12 played. Was it 3-game series?
Yeah,
5.
It was 5 games.
It was 5-game series. So the Pens with a 5 seed by like 1 or 2 points, and they had to play the Habs, who somehow in this 2 years, that was 2 years straight. COVID was apparently the best time in the world for being a Canadiens fan for some reason.
It's the only reason they were good for those 2 years.
It's the world shutting down for the Habs to be good.
Reason.
So wild.
The only reason. And
Flyers fans can agree as well.
they beat both my teams during that.
Oh yeah.
They beat the Pens in 2020 and the Leafs in 2021.
I remember because I was watching your name choose video where he just lost his mind. I remember all too well.
I remember watching I think it was what? Game 5 in 2020 and Game 7 in 2021.
Oh, I felt
with
bad.
my dad. I remember specifically watching Game 7 in 2021 against the Habs with my dad. And the Pens, I think, were already out at this point because they lost to the Islanders. So we jumped on that bandwagon. Worst, don't ever jump on that bandwagon. Don't ever. But I remember specifically sitting down with him and he asked me how the game was going to go. And I looked at him and I went, it's going to be 3-0 Habs. It's going to be 3-0 Habs. And it was 3-0 Habs all the way until 10 seconds left where William Nylander scored and it was 3-1. I was 10 seconds away from being spot on.
That's crazy.
Because I know them, man.
I remember. Are you talking about the one against the Habs?
Yeah.
I was watching. Because I just started picking up hockey, so I was doing the sports that thing. I was watching Steve Dangle. He would stream the playoff games. I watched 3 of them.
Yeah.
I watched game 1, the John Tavares one.
The injury.
That was the first time I felt like I was just like I just got shocked.
Yeah, I remember that.
This is before even bad stuff even happened in sports, like DeMar Hamlin and all that. No. This I got shocked. I was like, did I just watch a guy get knocked out cold?
He was.
That was crazy. So I watched that game. Great, and the worst part was it was a great game, save for that moment. That moment was just gonna define that whole game. I watched that game. I think game 4, the one they just was it? Yeah, game 4.
It was game 4.
Thumped them.
Yep.
They absolutely thumped them. And then game 7. No. I watched game 6 as well because I was praying for them the best. And then Travis Dermott did the spinner thing. And I watched game 7. I just watched the whole of it. I just watched Steve just slowly die inside. I'm like, geez, I cannot. I was like, and I watched your entry's whole video back in the Leafs history. And I was like, I feel so bad for people who are Leafs fans. I really do.
Dude, I'm a big wrestling fan too, by the way. I'm a big wrestling fan too, by the way. Okay. So Travis Dermott, who doesn't play on the Leafs anymore. I never want to see that spin-a-rooney thing unless you are actual Booker T and you are a five-time WCW champion. I never want to see it again, ever. Don't do it.
Fun fact, he is still with the Canucks.
Oh, yeah. And gee, I wonder why the Canucks are having problems. I mean, nothing.
He's got 1 goal in 11 games.
Yeah. God.
I'm trying to think. Let me say this as well. If we lose, I will come in. I will come in with the team we lose just stamped to my forehead.
What, the Kraken?
Yeah, I guess if it's the Avs. Well, I guess most likely it will be the Avs unless the Golden Knights lose out and the Avs win out.
Okay, it could be worse. It could be a lot worse. You could seal your own coffin with making a bet that the Leafs would win a round when they haven't since 2004.
If it actually does happen and you come in with the Bruins jersey, I will not be able to keep a straight face.
Oh, I know. You're gonna be laughing the whole time. And the first video segment we have on YouTube is gonna be of me wearing a Bruins jersey, for God's sake.
Oh my God, it's gonna be right around finals.
Oh, I know. And I'm gonna be even more upset. But
that's gonna be crazy.
All right. I guess to wrap up in our last minute and a half, just straight fire. Who do you think's winning the cup this year?
Oh, I feel I'm gonna make a bold prediction.
Just straight fire. Go with your gut. Who's gonna win it?
I'm gonna say Wild.
You think the Wild? Okay.
I'm gonna make a bold prediction and say the Wild this year.
Do I really put this out in the world to get embarrassed? Do I go out into the world? You know, I'm doubling down on my bet. Doubling down on my bet. Oh God, this is gonna be so weird. This is gonna be so weird to say. I'm sorry.
Do it.
All right. The Toronto Maple Leafs are going to do it this year.
I said it. You all have that in writing, or I guess in audio.
When they lose in Game 7, please be gentle.
please timestamp this bit. Make this an audio clip And just share this to us at Pond Hockey on Twitter.
Eventually it's gonna come true.
Pond Hockey on Instagram. Just share this with us everywhere because I will be dying. I will be dying. This will be incredible.
All right.
But
it'll come true eventually, okay?
It will. Well, I'm gonna put faith in it, but if it does it, the memes will be hilarious.
The Penguins are gonna win a cup before the Leafs win one, okay?
Hey, most importantly, we saved this moment because plug again. At Pond Hockey on Twitter.
Pond Hockey Pod on
Pond
Twitter.
Hockey Pod on Twitter. I will get it right. It'll just take we'll have it right by the second show. But please follow our socials. And like I said, if it does happen, send clips our way. Send memes our way.
When it inevitably doesn't happen, send clips to Nick, because if you send them to me, I'm probably not going to open them.
Hey, we both have access to the account, so I will save these. And when we get the show actually running up, putting it on YouTube, because we're still ironing out the kinks a little bit for
it will be on Spotify. 100% will be on Spotify.
You're figuring out Apple Podcasts. You almost have, I think you have that ready. I think.
Kind of.
It should be ready for Apple. We're not going to say 100%, but we got those two ready, and we'll be figuring out. We might even throw clips on stuff like Twitter, Insta, others.
Yeah,
but we'll keep you updated.
All right. So I guess that wraps it up for the pilot episode of the Pond Hockey Podcast. Once again, to everyone, please don't come at me too hard, man. Let me have fun. But anyways, if there is a topic you guys want us to cover for next time, feel free to tweet at us at Pond Hockey Pod or send us a DM on Instagram at Pond Hockey Podcast. Really hope you guys enjoyed. I guess that's it. And we will see you guys next Monday at 9 p.m. live. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you next time.